This is it, people. This is what you've been waiting for. This is Everyday Celebrity Podcast. The podcast for everyday people with everyday problems, trying to find everyday solutions to accomplish everyday goals. Let's start the show. Welcome to another episode of Everyday Celebrity Podcast, the number one podcast in the Bay Area, number one podcast in Oakland. Today is a special event. I have traveled 300 miles to talk to this guest today. When it comes to powerful women that do everything, this girl should be in the dictionary. She is a singer. She's an actress, a model. I think she's a doctor or a nurse. It's one of those. I've seen her in Scrubs, so it's one of those things. So welcome, Bianca, to Everyday Celebrity Podcast. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
How's your day going?
Well, I'll say that I worked last night, so far it's going good. I'm still here.
So you
awake.
So you say you work. What is your like actual 9 to 5?
It's actually more like a 7 to 7:30, and I'm an ICU nurse. It just depends, especially right now with everything that's going on and with the shortage of nurses, then, the schedule is 3 nights a week, but there's been definitely nights that weeks where it's been even 7 days a week, 7 nights a week, or whatever is in this. So it depends.
So right now we are in Los Angeles, which is like, I guess they say it's like the mecca of like the COVID shit that's going on. So have you been dealing with a lot of that?
Yeah. No, we've definitely experienced. We get to see everything. Like the process, right, from receiving the patient to their progression and their all that takes place.
Is it real depressing?
Well, here's, now that you asked that, actually, it's the one thing that I've been sharing with the nurses, and I really believe this, is that nurses have something special about them, where is like they have this balance between art and like the love, the passion of caring, of their kindness, their just this sense of saving lives. Like if you ask a nurse and like, what do you do? She'll answer, I save lives. Like that's their soul. Like that's where you get a lot of. So what I've been telling them is that I really believe that it's possible for nurses to make an impact in this change that we are experiencing right now, because we understand the science of it. We see the progression of the patients from when we receive them to how they're doing. They're well, like as they recover, or whichever way it goes.
Yeah.
And, but at the same time, there's still that compassion and that care. So I really, one thing that I think of a lot, when I get reported, like when I start my shift, and I just look at nurses and I'm like, this is like, I see the love that some of us may not be seeing in society. Can we start this? Like, can we just go back? Because like, I feel like I'm all over the place. So
So let's get out that, because I mean, for people who are listening to this, they're hearing your accent. You are from Spain, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I was born in Romania. I grew up in Spain since I was 3, 4. I had just turned 4. And then I lived in Argentina for about a year or so, and then I moved to the U.S. Yeah.
So how old were you when you came to the U.S.?
19.
19?
Yeah.
And why did you come to the U.S.?
Well, that was just like, that was a plan that my family and I kind of agreed on to when I left Spain, because they were just like, as a teenager, it was a lot of partying and a lot of, and a lot more just than just partying. And just like the environment itself, I wasn't like in a good place. And, that was just so that I could step out of that environment. So the plan was, to go to Argentina. For instance, I was drinking a lot. I used to drink a lot. And just,
that's like your culture, right? Overseas.
Yeah, I mean, and we start soon too. It's like, it's not seen as something, bad. It's just like, it's part of the culture, like you're saying. So, yeah, we
So you left, it was Romania?
Right.
You left Romania because you were getting in trouble, or you were partying too much?
No, the Spain.
Oh, you left Spain because you were partying too much?
Right.
Where in Spain?
Madrid.
Madrid.
Yeah.
So it was just, your family was just concerned about your partying, and they sent you to where?
To Argentina. Well, it just actually gets a little... It just gets a little darker if I were to go deeper into that.
Yes, let's get dark, yes. What was it, drugs or something?
It was not so much drugs. No, it was not. It was not. It was not drugs. It was more of, like my family, we were some of the first wave of immigrants that were heading, like, got to Spain, and like as soon as communism was over in Romania, there was a lot of exodus from the country. So growing up, we were really like seeking a better place to live. And growing up, like I started saying, I experienced a lot of bullying just because I didn't speak the language. People were not used to just kids that did not speak the language, or just, and then even as a teenager, because with all the bullying, you got to learn to defend yourself because your mom and dad are not there. So for me, my dad was like very much like, getting me ready for those moments, to say. So then as a teenager, I kept kind of getting into trouble in that sense. And like, it didn't feel right in my heart, but it was definitely just, that was the environment that I had been, grown up in. So
So you guys decided to move as a family? Or was it just you that went to Buenos Aires?
First, it's just like, as I'm thinking about this, it's like so abrupt and like so sudden, because it was just like this desperate need, or like of like survival, really. It was, both of my grandparents, like they were farmers. And so, as soon as my parents got the visa, like they actually left the country. And they left my brother, my two sisters, and I back in Romania, because they had to do something to get out of that situation, to like seeking a better future for us. So, it was first them, then my dad came and picked me up from Romania, which that was very interesting. Also, the way it happened, very emotional. Yeah.
So when you came to the States, was it like a culture shock for you?
Big time. Yeah. Cause like, especially coming from like a Latin culture.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just used to like hugging and like 2 kisses. It's just like a common way of saying hi.
Yeah. I missed that.
Right. So Oh.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm just saying, like, if you have like things that are like.
Okay. All right. So let's see. There was a lot of things I wanted to get into. All right. So let's talk about your music. Your music right now.
Yes.
What are you working on?
Well, right now it's I'm working on an EP. I just released a single.
Hold on. Start the question again because.
Yeah, 1 second. Let me just replace batteries quickly. Give me 30 seconds.
I have a feeling we might have to do this again because there's like a lot going.
Yeah, we got to do this. My shit is live. So.
What do you mean?
Like I don't edit. Like once we start the interview. So we're gonna have to do this again.
We're gonna have to do what?
Do this again.
Oh yeah.
You're still being recorded.
Right, I understand that. Yeah, but I
Never mind. I still have that.
I think we have to do it again. No, because it's a lot. Like those are like loaded questions for me because everything that I'm doing, even like right now, it's all related to everything that took place.
Yeah.
And there's so much depth to it that I don't want to rush. It's nothing superficial.
Yeah.
Like even right now, like the music aspect, I'm clearly not. It's not for money because I'm, it's.
Mm-hmm.
I make good money with my job, but and it's connected with that belief about the nurses, which I didn't really describe as well because it's just a lot going on in my head right now.
Yeah.
So, but I definitely will love to have more time to really express this because this is why I also made it like a bigger deal in a way, like in the sense like doing it right with the cameras and lights and everything because I want to use this to share with as many people as possible my story and what I'm doing because that will enable people to connect. And with everyone that I've talked with and like shared actually where I come from, my story and like everything that I've been through, they really connect with a lot of it. Cause like it gets dark to attempted suicide, drinking, gang like fights. And like my first boyfriend as a teenager, it was in a gang. So then it was just like a lot of darkness in that sense. So
yeah, and those are the stories that I want to hear.
Right. So, and that's what I'm saying is like we'll just have to do it with more time because I think it's good content and it's something that people can identify with and it's something that I look in a certain way, but you'll never guess the stories that come with it.
All right, well, everyone stay tuned for part 2 of Bianca's story. Yeah, we're gonna pack this up right now. Well, I mean, let's just wrap it up now, and then and then we'll schedule a part 2. I mean, I'm in town till Monday, so.
Okay.
And like part 2 doesn't have to be all like fancy. It could just be me and you on the table.
Okay. All right.
So part 2, Everyday Celebrity Podcast with Bianca. Stay tuned. We are out. Yeah. Welcome to part 2 of the infamous Bianca Everyday Celebrity Podcast interview. We got kicked out. I mean, well, we didn't get kicked out. Our time expired at the Jesus Wall, which is a very nice space. But now we are in the luxury apartments of a famous photographer, Omar. But yeah, we'll talk about Omar later. Where did we leave off? Your transition from Buenos Aires to the States.
Right. Well, I feel like we were a little bit like all over the place because I feel like there was so much that I wanted to express that.
Well, now we can take our time. So I want to know about your life in Romania first.
All right.
How was it like growing up there?
Well, since I was really young, So the little that I remember is like as a 3-year-old, it was my brothers and my sisters, like they pretty much became my parents because my parents, they had left Romania. So, it was interesting. It was just, I do remember there was this moment that I remember that, our grandpa had made this swing, and, given that my parents had left so suddenly, I remember this moment where, my brother was pushing me in the swing, and I remember telling him, like, David, I think like if you push me really, really hard in the swing, maybe I can fly where mom is. I don't know where she's at, but maybe I can get there. So there was just like some nostalgic moments like that where, you just find balance within the instability that life gives you, as all of us really do our best with. So that was just a little bit of part of that, experience from what I remember as a little girl, and just doing a lot of fun work with my grandpa.
So you have how many brothers and sisters do you have?
2 sisters and 1 brother.
Are you the oldest?
I'm the youngest, actually, and it's an interesting story because initially, the story behind this is that my brothers and sisters, they're like much older than I am, like is like 14, 13, and 11 years older. And given our circumstances that we didn't have much resources, the right thing that was encouraged for my mom to do after she found out that she was pregnant was, you should have an abortion, because this is probably not the oh.
We're outside, everybody, in downtown LA. So,
because it was just, it was not the best timing, and not timing, not that, it was just hard already. It was already really hard, and like, again, coming on, and like, the background being just farmers and working the land and just a lot of hard work. So
wait, so was abortions a thing in Romania back in those days?
a what?
Abortions.
Well, of course. I think so. I mean, my aunt had scheduled the appointment for my mom, but then my mom had this dream, and because of that dream, she's like, I cannot follow through. So no matter what anybody says, I'm just gonna have this baby, and God willing.
So all of you guys have the same mom, same dad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you closer to one sibling than the other?
We kind of grew up pretty like we're very together. All of us were really close to each other. Very different relationships. Like every one of my sisters and my brother, they're like very unique characteristics that I just connect with them at different levels. So, I wouldn't be able to tell you specifically one of them I connect more. If anything, up until like I was like 12 or so, I remember like my brother was everything and everyone to me. Like because I felt that connection with him the most. Oh. Okay.
So, Romania, so was it, growing up in Romania was, so you were in Romania until what age?
4.
Until 4?
Right.
Okay, and then you went from 4 years old, you left and went where?
Spain.
Spain, okay. So what was Spain like from, going from Romania?
Well, my dad came and picked me up. Oh. Okay, so my dad came and me up first. We took the bus. So we went from Romania to Spain in the bus. And I remember, like, as we were getting to Spain, and, you know, you see, like, the Bulls. I don't know if you've been, but
The Chicago Bulls?
Yeah, there you go.
The basketball team?
No, not those, but, like, it's similar to them.
Running with the Bulls.
Exactly. Not those either. But, yeah, as I started seeing that, and, like, just something inside of me, it made me say to my dad, can you please take me back to my brother and my sisters? Like, it felt like I realized, you know, they're, like, not there. He had me all distracted, like, coloring books and stuff. And I was like, wait, we're in a different place. Like, where are we now? So, and then moving on from there, we got to the bus station, right? And, my dad distracted me with, you're going to see your mom. And I was like, oh, that's right. Like, I had not seen her for like a year or so. And that moment was very special because I remember he didn't see her and, like, she didn't see me either. Like, but I saw my mom. So it was just like, I ran to my mom and I was like, the first thing I said was like, show me where you live.
Yeah.
You know, I was like thrilled about this. Like, it was like a new phase in whatever it was gonna be. And I remember, you know, we went to the apartment, and the apartment, there was like, so we had three bedrooms in the apartment, and we had about 12 people living in the apartment.
And this is in Madrid, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Right. And of course, to a kid, like, that was like irrelevant. Like, I didn't realize that then. But thinking back on it, it was quite the experience, and, like, because it was the sacrifice needed to be done in order for us to, like, have a better life, if you will. Like, that, at least that was the rationale in that given moment that they could do best. So, from then on, there were several different experiences that kind of brought down a little bit my excitement of being in a new place, which is what I mentioned earlier about the bullying and just that kind of aspect of it where people are not used to kids out of.
Yeah. So you spent your teenage years in Madrid, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Now, when I went to Spain, I was in Barcelona, though.
Nice.
When I was in Barcelona, I felt like I've done the most drugs I've ever done in my life. When I was in Barcelona, it was like a non-stop fucking party.
Okay.
Like from sun up to sundown. The
Right.
clubs don't open till like 12, and then you party all night till the sun comes up. Then you go to after hours,
Yeah,
and then you're in the after hours all day.
that's right.
And everyone's high on coke and pills and shit,
Wow.
dancing to techno.
Right.
So, what I bring that up to ask you, was you going through all that in Madrid?
So not so much, like, I didn't, as far as, like, first of all, I was raised very strict in the sense, like, my parents were, like, very religious.
Oh, those be the worst ones. Because then the girls, when you're raised by real strict religious parents, you're secretly wild.
You're secret. Yeah, I mean, at least they did their best into, like, implying certain principles and morals, but it was just like an imbalance from what I was being told and what I was seeing in my surroundings, and like in the environment itself.
So your parents were like, "Oh, you need to save yourself from marriage," and then you go out to the real world, everyone's fucking and shit.
Well, no, that's not. It's not. I mean, that's definitely one of the.
That was just a stupid example.
Right. I mean, that is definitely one example, but it just it had like different focus, like different, not necessarily about marriage because I was really young, like when all this was taking place. But yeah, that was definitely part of it. I just really like to dance. I like just, it was like something that I really enjoyed, and it took me out of that how could I describe this? Just out of that space that I'm being vague about it because that's just like another
Did you feel like free and like
topic. It just felt, it felt right in my heart, you know, like that's one of the things, like the religion that I grew up on, dancing is not seen well at all.
No?
So then, right.
What religion is this?
Seventh-day Adventist.
Yeah, I don't know shit about none of that.
Yeah. Which, you know, it has really good principles and is wonderful, but again, there were certain things that did not feel right with my heart. Like I was like, but I want to do these things, and I was like, no, you can't. Like it's just, that's not, you should not be doing that.
Yeah.
So so not so much about the drugs and stuff. Definitely more on the drinking aspect. That's something that it was more of a, almost like an issue, if I may say that, because as I grew older, is like I almost seeked more that feeling of detaching from whatever was going on around me, because it was just too much for what it was. So not so much the drugs, but like I said, it was definitely going out. And
do you think you were an alcoholic, or did you just think that you were just drinking more than you should be?
I guess it's somewhat subjective in that sense.
Yeah, I'm not asking what people probably thought of you. I'm asking what you thought of yourself. Did you think you were an alcoholic?
I mean, I'll say this. I got to a point where we would go out and like I would just go to the bar, and because you look good, it's just like kind of automatic. You just kind of get a drink somehow.
Yeah.
It just kind of appears. And like I just liked it on the rocks and just vodka or like straight up like hard liquor. So I think that when you drink, like the intention that you have for the drinking aspect is probably what defines whether you may be an alcoholic or not. For myself, it was, I could say yes, but it was something that I knew that it wasn't right to do, but I didn't know any better at the time.
Yeah. Were you drinking with the intention to get drunk, or you were just drinking because you like being out in the social scene?
I was just drinking because I wanted to forget about everything. Yeah.
What were you trying to forget about?
Just a lot of aspects that I grew up with that brought a lot of instability that it's hard to make sense of, especially as a little kid. Referring to violence, referring to just a lot of negative energy that as a kid you don't know how to deal with.
Yeah.
And this is also part of, you know, everything that I'm doing. I really want to emphasize the aspect of the importance of treating children the right way, and really just like Whitney said in one of her songs, let them lead the way.
You're talking about Whitney Houston?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's only one Whitney. I don't know. It's like Whitney.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah. No. Yeah. And that's one thing that I'm really passionate about doing in this process as I'm pursuing what I feel that I have to do.
So when I was scrolling through your Facebook, I scrolled through like 5 minutes of your Facebook, and you seem like you're very into like spirituality. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but you seem like you're very into like spirituality and
Right.
like working out, like healthy body, healthy mind, and all that, and meditation and all that shit. So people are not usually like, I wouldn't say born into that type of stuff, but people usually fall into that after something happens in their life,
Yeah.
and then they get into like spirituality and all that stuff. So, and then I remember you talking about you had a boyfriend in Spain,
Right.
and it was a bad relationship.
Yeah, well, you know, when your relationship with your dad is not the best one, then you kind of project down to your other relationships. So when you don't know, you just kind of, you know, you go with what you grew up with. And
Was this a relationship with a guy who was grown and you were still a teenager?
Well, I'm thinking of different relationships right now. So I did have that also. I did tend to surround myself with people that were older than myself. You know, I was I was probably like 17 or 18, and they were probably like 27 or 30.
Yeah. Because out there it's not really frowned upon, right? Or I mean, it's probably frowned upon, but it's not like the U.S.
Yeah, it was different, and it was just like my spirit also, and just
Okay.
yeah.
So what was so horrible about this specific relationship?
So, I mean, if we are to connect what happened in the past to like the spirituality and the relationship and everything else, it wasn't so much about that specific relationship.
Yeah.
That relationship, it was, how could I say this? I mean, you're just a teenager, and you're seeking something outside of yourself that you don't even know yourself what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So then that makes you have relationships where you're being manipulated, or you're being in an environment that is not really helping you grow, but is more like the opposite of that. So it was just a toxic relationship that but really, aside from that, connecting back to the spirituality that you mentioned, it was, that shift really happened like 2019 in July, where, you know, as I mentioned to you, as an ICU nurse, seeing so many people pass, or seeing like so much trauma, and just already having like an upbringing that was heavy enough, it got to a point where everything that I had known up until that point, it was not enough to make sense of life. And in that moment, I remember very specifically that I couldn't, it was like I had given up in a way, you know. I was like, I had tried everything. I had done therapy. I had tried several things, and nothing made sense. Like, even the therapist, I would talk with them, and I had been told before, they're like, well, after everything that you share with me, I'm surprised that you're actually functional. Like, you actually have a degree. You actually, you know, and that's not helping me. Like, I'm like, okay, cool, but like, what's next? Like, I want to keep moving forward, and I want to grow. And that's where all my environment and everything that was taking place, it took me back to, what is this for? Like, what are we here for? Like, what's the purpose of all that is happening, and all the sacrifice? Like, I grew up, you know, seeing my parents like work from like 5 a.m. to like midnight. I barely got to see them. I pretty much was raised by myself. Like, it was just so much that I'm like, okay, so what's the point of all of this? Like, so what's the point of sacrificing, working so hard, and putting all this effort into, just being a good person, because that was the other thing. It was just like, you have to be good and you have to do good, and all those questions, came to me in all at once. And it was so overwhelming and it was so painful because I had nowhere to start with. Like, I didn't know where to pick up from, that I was ready to go. I was just like, okay, I'm done with this. Whatever this life is. I spoke with a few friends that I had around me, and I told them, like, I love them very much, but I genuinely felt so much pain in my heart and everything that was going on. I couldn't make any sense of it. That I was like, I just want to go. I just want to,
Go as in you were having like suicidal thoughts?
Correct.
Okay.
Right. Which I find important to share this because, especially in this time, a lot of people are being faced with that kind of instability and lack of sense and lack of understanding. And this is why, my start of understanding of the truth of reality and what is really reality, I feel like in my heart, I was like, I have to share this with people, and I have to express this because I know the pain. I know what it feels like to just want to be done with everything, because it just doesn't make sense. You're just like, you're doing your best, you're trying, and it's like, but for what? Like, what's the point of it all? So, as I went into this new phase of in my life, what happened at that specific time, I had a friend, I remember she called me. I have never seen her cry before. I remember she called me, she FaceTimed me, and she goes, "You can't do this to me." And genuinely, I obviously, I'm like, I don't mean to do anything to anyone. I genuinely can't take this much. I just don't know what to do with this. So, what she suggested was, she's like, I want you to talk with a friend of mine, and I want you to read this book. I was like, okay. So I did that. The book was called How to Change Your Mind. And, and I talked with the friend that she had suggested. And I want to share this because, as her friend, she called me and she goes, I mean, she felt the heaviness of all the energy that I had accumulated. And as I'm sharing with her, because I understand it was like my responsibility. It didn't feel right to bring onto someone that negativity. It was like, it's my problem. Like, whatever I'm feeling is like, I'm trying to figure out a way. So anyway, what I want to share is something that she said to me, where it's like, she says, take a vacation from life. And that just kind of opened up so many, it just like allowed me to breathe somehow. Because just thinking of that, it just even someone just telling you that, it was like, take a vacation from life. It's just what I needed to hear, and God knows best what we need in every single moment. That as soon as she said that, I remember going home, and I didn't do anything for like 3 days. I just because a lot of the times, given the fast pace that we live in, given that, the pressure from your family, your friends, you have to fit in, you have to look in a certain way, you have to do these things, you have to pay whatever, you have the bills. It's just like a lot of responsibilities, and just, it builds up. There's so much build up that you don't realize it because you don't take the time to actually meditate upon it or like retrospect on yourself and say, hey, you're doing like a lot right now. Like, you know, that's why like Deepak Chopra, he says in one of the interviews that for those that say they don't have time to meditate, he goes, maybe, well, then you should meditate even more, you know, because, well, we can get into the because, in the next like question or like in the next, yeah.
So was shaving your hair, was that like a spiritual thing too, to remove all of the and become like a new person?
No, it was actually because I used to do IV therapies for this beautiful little girl, and she didn't have her hair wouldn't grow because she had Hashimoto disease, and I remember, you know, like she was very talented. She's still very talented, but that was something that just kind of sometimes held her from doing certain things, or just not necessarily held her back because she always pushed herself, but it was something that kind of limited her in a certain extent, just because, especially as a kid, you just want to fit in. You just want to look like not look like everybody, but like,
Yeah.
at least, you know,
Mm-hmm.
is something that stands out. So it was more for showing that with hair or no hair or whatever is going on, it's irrelevant. You know, like whatever you look like, it's what really matters in life is that you believe and have faith in what you feel in your heart that you have to do. And that was my reason for it. I remember after shaving it, I just FaceTimed her. She just looked at me a little puzzled, like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. I just said, hi, how are you? No, I didn't mention what I did or anything like that. It was just more like a nonchalant action.
Yeah.
But that was the reason. All
right. So when you left overseas, when you came to the States, where did you come?
So I was living in Redlands, Loma Linda area. That's where I started.
That's in California?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like Inland Empire.
Okay.
That's where I did my prerequisites for nursing. That's where my brother was at the time with his wife.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's where it all started.
Did you like it? You know, everyone loves California. Did you see it on TV and shit? All the blondes running around on the beach and shit.
You know, it's interesting because I remember at the time, I had this Venezuelan boyfriend, right? And I remember, like, I was pretty much FaceTiming him the whole, like, a lot of hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying this because it's just like, at that point, I didn't really care to come to California. I was more like because he lived on an island. So I was like, I could go to the island and then we can, you know, you just kind of create your own, you know, story over there. So first it was very shocking, you know, as in like culturally, it felt a lot colder. It felt a lot more detached. It felt just like, you know, just keep your space, you know. And so that was interesting, you know, and not only that, but like up until that point, my parents kind of helped me. Like they did help me, with paying for school, paying for all of these things. And not that they stopped helping, but it was like, okay, now you have to work too. And I was like, okay, good. But at the same time, I was learning a new language.
Yeah.
I was like figuring out, like studying something that I wasn't necessarily like passionate about, but it was just part of the process. So I was there, I was doing it. And again, you know, I remember started dancing again, and I had a jazz band, and I wasn't again studying as much. It was more about I just, you know, I love that. So my brother was like, okay, you either stop this and you focus on like learning English and like applying yourself to school and like getting good grades, or you go back to Spain.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty. What I'm hearing is you. I mean, even though you love nursing, but what I'm hearing is that your passion is music.
100%. Yeah. I you know, that's one of the things that, as I've come to understand more of my soul and what I am to do, I wish I had, which this is irrelevant because it's past tense, but again, emphasizing on giving a sense of pride to children, giving a sense of being valued, because a lot of that had to do with me not pursuing more of what I love to do. You know, I just felt like I wasn't fitting, but I didn't want to disappoint my family, or I didn't want to, you know, it was like, it was just uncomfortable in that sense.
Yeah.
So, definitely is something that comes very natural. I remember growing up, my dad was like, had a rock band in the 70s. He's been singing ever since I can remember. I sang with him at church. Started playing piano when I was like 15, guitar when I was 7. When I went to Argentina, more than studying nursing, which what I was sent for there, it was more about, I started singing opera, which I would just sing like 5 to 8 hours a day. And, again, when my brother was like, as you can tell by now, is like, he's my dad almost to a certain point. Can check on me is like, well, how are your grades? And I'm riding horses and singing opera. I don't know, like, you know, so I wish I had believed in myself more. I wish I had, you know, done that of what I've loved more. But it's okay. It's just part of each one's process, and without,
So when someone asks you, what type of artist are you? Can you describe yourself?
well,
I'm talking about musically.
right. At this point for me is like doing music, it has a complete different focus. You know, because of my age, because of how I came around it. If anything, the type of artist that I envision myself to be is one that people can look up to and say, okay, that makes sense. What does that mean?
Yeah.
That means, a lot of times we have, not a lot of the times, but sometimes we have an artist say something, yet their actions or what we get from or whatever it is, it's pretty much almost like the opposite of what we think or what we would want to see. And again, I talk out of ignorance because only God knows like what that process like to, and it's just such a responsibility, and there's just so much going on that only your own experience can determine your ability to really manifest what I'm describing right now. But my wish and my intention is to really have a positive impact within our society, because also of what I mentioned to you of being an ICU nurse and understanding human life, and like love and truth, and just from a very different perspective. So does that answer the question?
I mean, it's your definition, so.
Okay, well, I mean, it's yeah.
So basically, you're not out there making like ass popping music and shit.
That's not my intention. No. That's not, no. I think of it as an artist, you're giving so much power. You're giving such a, like, it's just a lot of power, like if you look at any artist that you can pick up right now, they have such a big influence in society. They have such a big influence in their environment, just because people are just like driven to them. It's just something that it's even hard to explain for some. It's just like they're in love. They're in love with whoever that person may be. And so I really believe that if that is used correctly and intentionally, it could have a really positive impact in all that it's being done and just perceived within our reality, which we all individually and collectively create.
Give me some of your musical influences.
Well, Whitney Houston for sure, 100%. She was like, my dad would have me listen to her a lot. Then because my dad had the rock band, I grew up listening a lot to, well, surprisingly, gospel. My dad loves gospel music. And then bands like the Queen, Rolling Stones, the Beatles, like the Purple, just all of like any of those that you can mention. So I grew up with those. That's what I can say as of right now. And then I'll say that for now. Yeah.
Or do you have any music that's out and like where people can like hear?
Yeah, I actually have my single, my first song that had quite the story behind it, which is, I'm describing pretty much my transition from nursing and into music. I call it Sphinx 40. And it's Sphinx because of the experience that I had at a specific Sphinx in Europe, which was very life-changing. And as I describe in the lyrics and the song, it's a little bit about that process.
So the single, is it out?
Yeah.
No, it's out.
Yeah.
Where can people hear that?
It's iTunes, Spotify, Amazon. Like, there's most platforms there. Yeah.
And this is the first single to your first project?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Independent?
Yes. Yes.
You're not signed to Def Jam or anything?
No, that's why it's quite the journey, because it's all my creation in that sense. Like, it's everything that I do is my responsibility. I make sure that it all has the right intention. When I create with the producers, whoever I work with, I always make sure that I want to make sure that the energy is right. I want to make sure that the focus is not just about doing the song or just creating a project, but having like a deeper perspective of what we are here to do. And I know, like, just being aware of the fact that it's not by chance that you meet with certain people, and just honoring that, and just honoring.
So when you're done with this project and when someone pushes play, what type of feel do you want the person to have? Like let's say I listen to DMX. You know who DMX is? The rapper?
Right.
Or whatever. So you listen to DMX's first album, it's dark. It's like real grimy. It's about him robbing people and like shit.
Okay.
And then let's say if you play Sade or some, you
Right.
get like a real mellow, I want to relax, like a real chill vibe. Now, when someone hears your project that you're going to come out with, what vibe are you aiming for them to feel?
What I'm aiming for is a sense of recognizing yourself and the emotions, just like with the first song. My intention is to bring a sense of unity, a sense of understanding, and of course just make it rhythmical and make it, fun and as far as beat and like composition of the song and instrumentation. But lyric wise, I really want people to feel that there's something much bigger than what we may be aware as of right now that unites us all together. That's a little redundant, but that's the most important thing for me. That would bring me the most gratifying feeling of I've been successful in what I've done, of bringing a sense of understanding that there's so much beauty within.
That was Channel 7 News, everybody.
Yes.
Go ahead.
That there's so much beauty in every individual that it's just a matter of our decision to want to see that, and then again, what it means to love. Where did that go? Right? Like we hear some songs that they literally ask, where did love go? Or like, what happened? Or like even our relationships in our society as of right now is just very superficial. Most majority of it is just it seems like it has become all like very physical. Is very much like getting to whatever you want out of that and like moving on. And I really believe that even everything that's happening right now, we have somehow created it given our lack of focus on what our purpose is here on Earth. Which that's a deep statement right there, but that's what I believe.
Do you think you were put on this earth to heal people through music or heal people through medicine?
It's their creation. If I think, given the possibility, I think it's beautiful to offer both. But most importantly is whatever the individual's intention is with whatever it's being provided, like whatever resources.
Which one do you think is more important?
To me, well,
music, obviously.
Balance. No, yes, of course. I really think it's just, as it's been said over and over throughout the years that music is just the universal language, and that's why it's just like music is the most powerful vibration in the universe. Like I've said this before, and it's just like it's really fascinating to think of that, because it's true. Given that, I mean, starting off of understanding that it's all energy. So how much more, thoughtful it could be, that process of, okay, well, if this is this powerful, then let's be mindful, like, or just like, it's just, to me, I see it as like as an experiment, if you will. But an experiment of love, if anything. It's for, I believe there's a lot that can be done.
How many songs do you have finished?
As of right now, there's 3 for the EP.
How many songs do you have left?
Well, there's 2 right now. working on. And we'll see how it plays, because I want to, whatever we end up releasing, I want to make sure I feel like fully represented by that, and it has the intention that I just described.
Are you ready to let people to drop your walls and let people into your life? Like every like knowing everything about your life?
Yeah, I just
I'm talking about like the bad shit and the good shit.
yes, I do, and I think it will happen at the right time, just because there's so much to it that is just a matter of presenting it within the right context and the right environment, so that it reaches in the right way. I believe we all have so much that we can learn from each other, so much that we can. This is why I'm saying the context and the environment, you know, because some people, as we see with some famous people, you know, whatever they're doing, that is being used sometimes against them, because it's so open. Everything is just so in our faces in a way, you know? And that also shows our almost like evolution as a society, you know, is like we see like famous people as, oh, they're good. Like, look at them. Like they're so blessed. They're like living the dream, or living.
Yeah.
It's easy, you know, kind of thing. But it would be nice to step back and really understand that everyone is playing the role that has been given to them to play in this life, you know? And within that role, as much as it may seem like, oh, that's so easy, that's, you know, they're just releasing music and they're just like living the life, we have not really a good idea of what's really going on in their lives. And it's just, again, a matter of focusing on yourself, on being respectful, and just letting people be as you do you. You know?
Okay. So what else are you currently working on besides trying to get this EP out? Like this is the segment where you can promote anything that you have going on.
Promoting.
If you want to shout out a friend or this, you know, your famous production crew that you have with you, or just anything you want to, and tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah. Well, my Instagram, I say the Instagram because the beautiful team that I have we started working with, which is Omar Guerra, Felipe Cano, Daniel Coulter. That might be pronounced differently, but we have started creating like almost like a mini series for Instagram, because I understand as an artist, like, you have to create content. So we somehow started like putting things together, and so far what we have created is really beautiful, and is really talking about what I have just shared right now. Is really emphasizing more of that aspect of what am I doing through my music. And like I said, it's just like a mini series that I look forward to sharing. Of course, there's a lot of work to be done for that. And And
that's only going to be on Instagram?
Yeah, that's the intention, is to have it on Instagram. I also believe I will have it on my YouTube channel. But as of right now, it's just it's for Instagram. And then that's all I will say for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your music, they can find it on all platforms like iTunes, Spotify.
Yeah, that one song, yes. It's I know it's cute now. Yes, but it's available on iTunes and on Amazon and Spotify. Yes, on most platforms.
And your YouTube channel, what's it called?
Bianca. It's same. It's just Bianca ET is just
Okay.
same as the Instagram.
And if people get sick, what hospital do you work at?
It's right in the middle
That was a
of
joke.
all studios. No. Yeah, I should
Yeah.
probably not answer that question.
All right. Well, thank you for gracing me with your presence. It's very uplifting getting to know you.
Thank you.
And yeah, everybody go check out her music on all platforms. What was the name of the song?
Sphinx 40.
Sphinx
As
40.
the cat. Sphinx 40. Yeah.
Sphinx 40. Sphinx 40.
Yeah.
Let's make it a top. Let's make it go viral. Is it danceable? Can people dance to it?
You know,
Can they do a TikTok dance to it?
They can. I mean, I've been told people, they're like, I can twerk to this and I can meditate to this, which I thought that was very
damn.
interesting.
Oh, I gotta hear this shit.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Do you have a music video for it?
We're working on it right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, do you have any last words?
I just want to say thank you for coming. It was a pleasure meeting you. It was a pleasure,
Yeah.
doing this for the first time. As
Yeah,
you
this is
can tell.
your first interview. That
Yes.
was good.
I really enjoy your energy. Your presence also is like, I think it's beautiful. And the reason also why I enjoy doing this is because it's a great concept that you have by creating this. So thank you. Thank you for coming.
Yeah. Well, everybody, you heard Bianca, best podcast in the world. And this was episode 16, Everyday Celebrity Season 2. And we are out. You.